Hey there, everybody. It's Hambbage. Thanks so much for dropping by. I really appreciate you guys clicking the view button here in YouTube, and hope this video finds you very entertained when you watch it. Also, try Braid. Alrighty then, let's play Minecraft, because that's what we're here to do. We're going to play some hardcore vanilla Minecraft. That is what we do here. This is a Let's Play, and I am playing everything for you. So, pretty chill, relaxed content. We'll kind of talk along the topics of the day, and I'm not cutting anything. So buckle your belts, because first thing that we're gonna do is take a little stroll. We're going through the Nether, and we're going back onto base. We have spent the last couple episodes in an abandoned mine shaft in our 117 chunks that we had first traveled to, and this time we're going to be moving our way back. We're going to unload all our loot to start, and then next up we're going to start gathering and preparing building supplies for our main base, which is a historic style fortress. That is a big problem. How did that... Is that a permanent shift? Just noticed that, guys. Anywho, we'll have to maybe make a little tweak there. Oop. I'll stop to scratch my nose and bumped the mouse a little bit, so we weren't come on, weren't running in quite the straight line. I'm gonna scratch it again because I have a little whisker that's like jabbing me in the corner of the nose. Got it, I hope. Never something you want to start out a stream with, especially on a day like today, because I plan to get a few episodes in. I am fired up, and I won't get into too much of that yet. I don't know if I'll revert back to it in other videos or not, but I want to talk a little bit about today, because today is Sunday, June 20th. It is Father's Day. And while I don't know if he'll see this or not, I want to give a special shout out to my dad on Father's Day. I hope all of you are taking the time to, either reach out to your dad or give him some love if you still live at home, or see your dad or in the same area. I'm not. I'm a good ways away. My dad lives several states away, so I got to see him. For those of you guys who know, just before, or actually as 117 was coming out, I was a little bit delayed picking up the new content because I had traveled to see my my family for the first time since the pandemic really got going, and that was an incredible highlight. Just such a cool opportunity. I mean, it's cool, on like a bucket list. I love seeing my family. It shouldn't be that rare, but just the scarcity in the last year and a half made it incredible to get to see them all again in person, not just talking on the phone. And so in the wake of that, I was just really excited to wish my dad a happy Father's Day, and I hope all of you guys are doing the same. It can be way too easy to take our dads for granted. Mother's Day, for us guys, right? We definitely, fall into that. Yeah, the cards that are made, you go to the grocery store or wherever, and you pick out a card, and they express those mom sentiments pretty well. It's easy to send some flowers or something and make your mom feel special, and they're your mom. It's easy. Dad's a little bit tougher, I think, for us guys, especially once you get to adulthood. It gets a little tougher to open up and let your dad know how much meaning a dad has in your life. So I just, I wanted to take this opportunity, as I had on Mother's Day, to kind of, shout out my dad to you all. And one of the things I was really struck by this time is just how completely inept the card makers are when it comes to even having a clue about what a man might want to say to his dad and making a card that might actually account for that. It's just ridiculous. It's like, I don't know, and maybe a lot of guys just don't even bother. If it's your grown dad, maybe if you guys live in the same area, you go play around a golf or something, and watch a game, maybe get tickets to a basketball game or something, or a baseball game, and celebrate in that way. Do some barbecuing and all that. But when you live remote, a card is a nice thing, right? I'm not gonna get cards for my mom on Mother's Day, and birthdays and all that kind of stuff, and then just not get one from my dad. That's weird. And listen, I'm a grown man. I'm not making my own card for my dad. I know in the pandemic, printing out in the graphics, and there's some of you guys that do such amazing graphical stuff around videos and slides and all that kind of stuff that you guys could probably do a better job than the card companies do anyway, and that would truly be a gift. And I've done some photography stuff. I've made gifts as an adult for family members, some that I hope are as appreciated as they say they have been. I enjoy seeing that they've got them still up. They didn't just get re-gifted or anything like that. But cards, I'm not getting out the crayons and the magic markers and folding over a piece of construction paper to tell my dad, Happy Father's Day. That's not happening. So I found myself in the card aisle, and I'm looking through it. It's one of those deals where you can either have the 11-year-old and younger giggle, snort, hey dad, ha, insert silly harmless joke here, or you can have sappy, mushy, I'm a grown daughter of my dad, and their sentiments that, while maybe truthful in a way, would never be expressed man to man the way that these cards are. It's like, is there anybody on the staff at Hallmark or Shoebox or any of these other greeting card companies that, hey, I don't know, has grown up as a man and has an appreciation for just, maybe just do a focus group, even if your employees aren't that. I don't know. I mean, I guess card crafting wouldn't be my top career choice either. So maybe it's not an ideal demographic, for the very reason that we don't express ourselves in greeting card mentality very often. But where's the card that says, look, I respect you so much, and I appreciate the fact that you at a very basic level, were here in my life. There's so many people that can't even say that, who had dads that either through their own choice or others weren't present in their lives. So for starters, I appreciate that you were the stand-up character man who was there all the time, and and stayed to be a role model and show that this is what family is. This is what a man does to take care of his family and to stand by commitments and those kind of things, and to have integrity. So that's the first thing. Where is the thank you for just being there and being a model to me, Dad? You didn't have to do any more than that, but you did, and that's incredibly awesome. And then there's the thank you for all those things that you taught me that will be special to us and may never be to anybody. They're the extensions of you, your values, your interests, your passions that you took the time to instill. And, you know, at times you know, probably laughed and said, "Oh, you know, you're so old, Dad," that kind of stuff, years and years and years ago now. But they are treasured now as an adult. And none of those things get expressed. So I wanted to take this time in this video, just to say that, you know, to my dad, yeah, thank you so much for doing all that, for being here, you know, there, where at home when I was raised, and taking all that time, you know, to do what I now understand were oh man, all right, you know, we got to go coach. Well, he typically didn't coach a lot, but did a lot of reffing for the youth sports and stuff that we were in, and was a booster of all my activities. Just, you know, gave so much to make sure that we had everything that could and would make for a full, rich childhood and life. And that's just scratching the surface, right? You know, for my dad, and I know for so many dads out there, that's just the beginning. That's the stuff that I'm sure didn't even seem like a thing to my dad, and, you know, to a lot. Like, that's just what you're gonna do. You're gonna be there for your kids as they grow up, and you're gonna retell silly stories and read kids books and reminisce about things that you liked as a kid, and, you know, teach the basics of making pancakes in the morning on a weekend when you have time to eat breakfast as a family. All those kind of things are just treasured moments that at the time, you know, hey, yeah, you know, you're getting to enjoy all that of life too. But, you know, from the kid's side growing up, those are things that stick and really make a difference going forward. For my dad, though, he uniquely gave me, not uniquely, there's a million people in my boat that I'm sure can relate to this very well, but if not uniquely, then I guess characteristically, you know, it's really the only thing I knew growing up. So I don't know how to equate it, but okay, that's the dripstone. I was like, did I put ancient debris up on the wall? What did I do with that tuff? I know I made a special tuff. Is it over here? No. Tuff? Tough. Tough? Tough. Gotcha, tough. Not so tough anymore. Yeah, my dad, as I've shared in the past, and I'm here in the United States. For anybody that doesn't know, I live outside Colorado. My dad was an immigrant. He came from the United Kingdom back in the 60s. He decided to, you know, live that American stereotypical immigrant dream of picking up roots and pursuing the means to a better life, you know, and risking for opportunities. And that alone is another huge inspiration. Having someone as a role model that says that, yeah, you know, you are not just going to be given a life that has all of the things that you want out of it. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and he made a huge one. He left his home, his, you know, culture, everything that had been familiar to him, not to mention his family, behind. And it was to pursue a career opportunity, but also I like to think a bit of an adventure. You know, he was young and coming to a new land, a distant unfamiliar and maybe at times strange culture that, of course, was still beckoning. For those of us who live in America, we take it so much for granted, or it's so easy to. We can get caught up in the hype of our free speech and critiquing our own society because we have that opportunity. We have that right to be open and vocal and say, we think we can do better. Here's how, and here's what we'd like to see. There aren't, and the UK is probably not that. He wasn't fleeing, fleeing oppression or anything when he came here. Um, but it's important to know that for people around the world, America is still that unique destination that can offer opportunity and the chance to truly pursue a dream, and that no matter how easy it may seem. And I know for my dad, relatively, it was easy. Despite the accents and some of my jokes when I was a little kid, and by that time, he'd been here for 20 years or so. Not quite that long, but by the time I can probably remember making jokes about it, probably been about that long. Um, those are all things that he took on, that he embraced, to be willing to go. The having a different accent and being, hey, you're from where? You don't just have a common backstory with everybody else. Once you move to a different country, you're on new ground. And I've often wondered, would I have that same confidence to just uproot? And in part I did, and I credit him with giving me that confidence. I picked up and with selecting the college that I did, I moved to a different state, and I kind of came here to Colorado to seek my fortune as a young man, and to kind of carve out my life and I guess make it or break it, on my terms, not riding on the accomplishments or the achievements of others, I guess. And that's not trying to be arrogant, to some extent. Sure, I did. To others, how successful was I? Those are the questions, of life. But I'm glad I did, and I'm glad that he inspired that path to do it, and to know that you can be physically separated but still emotionally close to a family, even if there's miles between you. That doesn't mean that oh, look at all that. I had all those extra guys. Let's combine these. Sorry, when we get to the blocks, it should go a little quicker. I'm trying to talk and do all this at the same time. Probably not the best plan, but this is kind of how the episodes fell, and I'm not gonna shy away from it, and I'm certainly not gonna miss this opportunity to just kind of think of dads, and my dad in particular, and how much he means to me. So you guys are stuck with it. Enjoy. So yeah, he had relocated and embraced this new culture, taken on a new career opportunity, and grew into it with great success over the years. And in addition, did minor things like, meet my mom and have me and my sister, and establish a marriage and a family that has endured for 60 years. So just incredible. And that's, that's something worthy of being acknowledged. And I want to make sure that, I shout him out. I know it's you guys will never know my dad. That's fine. But he's I wish y'all could, because he's one heck of a good dude. And yeah, by being an immigrant, he taught me how to view being an American from kind of an outsider's perspective, or at least a naturalized citizen, because he is a naturalized citizen in his own right. When I was a kid, he went through the naturalization ceremony and became a citizen of the United States, not by birth, but by choice. And that is not only a huge deal to him, but it's a huge deal to me and to the rest of my family, that he would, he didn't have to. It's relatively easy to be a UK citizen and live in the United States. It's so easy to be a citizen of anywhere and live in the United States. We talk about immigration as a big political topic, and I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm not trying to make this a political rant or anything like that. It's not. All I'm saying is, when you have a parent, or when you are a person who has left one country knowingly for the advantages of another, your perspective changes a little bit, and you suddenly understand that, yes, you're a citizen of a country, but you're also a citizen of a bigger world, and how you represent the country that you come from as a citizen makes a difference to others around you, and to your fellow citizens. There's this, I think I've talked about it before, there's this idea of the ugly Americans, that when you go to other countries, Americans are these bombastic, pushy, demanding people that expect things to be Americanized for their comfort and convenience. And that is something that is entirely foreign to the rest of the world. You go to other places to experience the other place. You don't go to have your place follow you along the way and just make home away from home. That's crazy. And it's a little silly, but I think we here in the United States are so blessed. A lot of times we don't really appreciate that as much as we had. And again, my dad is also of another generation. He was a young child during World War II. He has memories that live with him. Again, we got 13 and Ward, both of which were new. I think we have a couple cats. We have Maul, we have Far, and we have Blocks, and then we have a couple copies of Pig Step. So our record collection is growing a little bit. We were playing around with that some in the game. Anything else up here that I need to leave up here? I don't think so. I think we're pretty well set to go back downstairs. So yeah, I just want to shout him out for making me, one, appreciate all the wonderful things that come with being an American, the freedoms that we enjoy, and the prosperity and opportunities that we enjoy, and also our place in that larger world that we're all part of. Now, I set this up. I think I'd rather have these over here. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have them on that side. And we already had this other box, but I do. Oh, see, I set those up separately. And at some point, we'll maybe make a farm out of the dripstone stuff. I think I'd like to try the lava. See what we can do with that. And some of the rest of this. All right. One color done, guys. Not too bad. So yeah, my dad, huge influence. You know, can't things that you don't just sit and be like, hey, Dad, I wanted to tell you you are a huge influence on me, and I really appreciate it. You know, that's not how I talk to my dad. I don't know about you guys. That would be weird. But I hope he knows it. You know, there've been enough birthdays along the way, and enough of those opportunities that I hope he appreciates how much I appreciate him. Um, and this is a good forum to share that with others and say, hey, I hope you guys have the same. I don't have a channeling. That was a good snag. I don't think we need Luck of the Sea one though, so we'll clean that book off. Um, yeah, so I hope that others have that and think about what kinds of values and inspirations your dad's inspired in you, and um, whether they're still alive or whether they've moved on and passed on, they're still always with us. At least I think most everyone would agree that our dads are never far from our thoughts. And I hope I'm just going to put that in there. I've missed twice. No, maybe that was a new membrane. Didn't we go to the um, potion ingredient chest? But we're almost done up here anyway. So we'll just drop off these horse armors. There's our shirts. Let's combine those. Now it's a huge waste, right? The last time it was like we were so close and didn't have quite enough, but got 2 pieces done. We got to get a few more pants and a lot of a lot of help on the boots. Then we'll have a full suit and we can move him up to our armor stands as well. We already have the gold, the iron, and a diamond. We do not have leather complete yet. We have a spare pair of boots, but I'd like to keep working on one more because we're going to want one set of leather boots for either when we gather some falling snow to make powder snow, or when the update occurs and we have it generally available. So we'll keep 2 sets of boots, and we will sit on the rest. I don't think we're going to keep the gold boots. We got the full set upstairs. I think that's all we need. So we'll go trash the rest of this downstairs, put that in the potion, and then we're just down to blocks. So making progress here, guys. Okay, so what did all that mean to me as I said with the values and all that? Well, I think the most lasting. Oh, there have been several. Both my parents taught me the appreciation of reading. They're both well-educated people, and it passed that on to both my sister and myself. And that being mindful. You don't have to be an arrogant intellectual or something like that. And you don't have to be particularly smart, but you have to be mindful of what's going on in the world. What is this cluster of a box? This one must have sat. We must not have done anything with this. Let's get these 2. Put away some of this random stuff. I just want to get this far end done with the end stuff and the wood. Yeah, I think with all parents, they kind of fall into natural roles. And my dad was the study helper and the kind of the have the talks. Yeah, what did I pull? Maybe I pulled all the fence. I don't remember. I think we'd had fence there though, right? Am I missing a fence spot? don't know what it would be. I think it was under the sticks. So we're going to consider that fence spot. We didn't have any rail stuff. Wow, dog action going on outside. All right, we got wool and dirt. So yeah, my dad got the unenviable tasks as I was a little kid of spelling test prep, flashcards for math, and then, you know, like hey, why didn't you do any better on this homework assignment? We studied it. What's your problem? And, you know, admittedly, they were things I was no darn good at in school. Still, and I aspire to. I don't think I particularly succeed, but I aspire to writing. I enjoy writing. I don't know that I will ever have any great Hemingway-esque masterwork or anything like that, but I enjoy it as a pastime, and I like to share some of these types of ideas that maybe I can articulate a little better in written form. And I think these two as creative outlets go hand in hand when it comes down to that. It's all about having ideas that you want to share with a larger audience and hope that they find some resonance, that people enjoy them enough to come back, or it fosters a conversation. That's my main goal anyway. So I hope in this sense you guys feel encouraged to think of your dads. Give them a shout out in the comments here. What are the things that you remember your dads having taught you as priorities, or things that were important, values that you still carry to this day? Because I know I have a load of them. And in addition to the memories, my dad, like, you gotta do these multiplication flashcards and the tables. Oh, I remember the multiplication tables, which is still how I envision number. When you're doing mental math and you're, okay, what is this number going to be? I still break those down out of the tables, and it was from 1 times or 0 times 0, I guess, but the zeros were easy, they didn't really count, all the way up till 12 times 12, and just gridded out what are the cross, and then what's the patterns, and you get those down, and all of a sudden becomes memorable. But I still think of 12 times 12. Well, that's 144. That's a gross. That's where it all began. One of the first ones that really clicked for me. One of the first combinations as they went along, and the ones that I remember as being easy, the 7s, for whatever reason, really clicked. I got those very early on. Others that I really just, was like banging my head against a wall. And I'm sure, for a dad constantly running these, or weekly spelling tests, how do you spell this word? How do you spell this word? And me raging against having to do things well, or to that level. And I think we can all relate to that as a kid. Quality is just kind of like but I could skate by, Dad, so why try hard? And unfortunately, that's a message we kind of get hammered into our heads a lot in our culture. You don't have to excel. And in fact, this was a thing when I was a little kid that really stood out, and I really struggled with. And it was, if you ace the test at school, or if you try really hard on a project and, kind of shame all the other kids because you put in a lot more effort, you're going to probably get some backlash out of that. And it's going to be you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're that kind of stuff. And I didn't want any part of that. I'm had a very average academic record, and not in a good way, he's got a lot of potential, but he really doesn't push himself to it. I remember a lot of that kind of stuff on, looking back on old report cards when I was helping my parents move out, and like, yeah, I guess they kind of saw it. And I think along the way it was, that idea that, yeah, but, if I try, then the other kids are going to make fun of me. They're gonna call me the nerd or the brainiac and those kind of things. So yeah, it was a lot easier, and there was a lot of peer pressure to just kind of fly below the radar and not rock the boat too much. So he had to teach me a lot of that. You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody else or for your classmates, or because of that. When you lock away these facts in your brain, they're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, healthy or sick. If all your stuff in your house gets blown up in a tornado or a fire or anything else, it doesn't matter. You don't have to file insurance on the stuff that you learn. Now, granted, traumatic brain injury or something could certainly take that away, but you have a value, and it's something that gets locked in and doesn't go away. And he really had to take the time to work with me on that. And one thing I clearly remember is we had to do a report on our parents. It was like an interview thing, and then we had to report on it in class. And I don't know what, something about like, interview one of your parents about their job and then come back and talk to them about it. And I still, for the life of me, I don't remember all the details of it, but one of the question things in there was, what are important characteristics around you, or what are things that you have to do, or something like that to be successful, or to, and at some point, one of his responses was that he needed to dress sharply or look sharp for work. That was a priority, or something he took pride in. Again, this is 30 plus years ago, probably a lot more than that. And all I remember is I thought that the other kids would laugh at this dated phrase, looking sharp, because nobody said that. You gotta look cool. You gotta look, And he was saying, no, that's my word. You're interviewing me. You don't get to editorialize that. You're quoting me in this. It's my words and they matter. You have to represent that. And that's something that has stuck with me. Again, I don't remember what the topic of the paper was or anything, but I remember thinking, oh, I can just edit this, and make it cooler for my friends. And they would have cared too much, I'm sure, but I remember him, he was checking my work. It was, all right, well, go off. You got all these things, and put them into the little speech or whatever you're going to do. And then he was helping check my work for spelling and grammar and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, what are you doing? You don't take a quote and then change around the words and make it just suit you. You have to honor whoever has given you that interview and their thoughts and, what their message is. It doesn't matter what yours is. When you ask somebody to share their insight, that's what matters. So I find a lot of reason to consider that these days. It seems as though a lot of people may not have gotten that message growing up, and so I think that's entirely apt. I still, as you can tell, it still resonates with me to this day. It's not like I think about it all the time, but it's certainly one of those lessons that it's like, man, Dad, you really you really knew back in the day when you were sharing all that stuff with me. It made a lot of sense, even though if it didn't click immediately or make a lot of sense to 8-year-old me or however old I was then. It lasted. So for all of you that may be a little bit younger, still enduring dads trying to share some wisdom and thinking it's old and goofy and they just don't understand. Sometimes they get it a lot better than you think they do, and nobody can remember every message. The stuff that your parents are trying to share with you, it may just not hit at the time when you are particularly ready to hear it. But over enough time, all you dads out there, keep saying it, because I can tell you, some of those things are definitely going to stick, and they'll be remembered for life. So keep that in mind. And if your kids resist or roll their eyes or laugh at you or all that, they'll get it. They'll come around. It'll hit like a ton of bricks at some point and be like, oh man, I've been hearing that all my life, and now I understand why I was hearing it all my life. That kind of stuff. So one of the other things that I've always remembered, and this was probably even younger, kind of in the age where I was probably outgrowing the big old like cardboard bound books, not just like kid picture books, but kind of the like you're learning to read. You go to the library, maybe you get a few out, and yeah, they've got a lot of pictures, but you're also getting stories and that kind of stuff in there too. They're books. They're just kid books, not adult books. So I was in that kind of age, and I remember being in my kind of kitchen breakfast room area, kind of sitting, on the floor or something like that, and I had this stack of books, whatever they were, and I think at the time I was already feeling like, these are just dumb kid books. I'm kind of too big for them or whatever the reason was. They're kind of sitting in a pile on the floor, and I remember he came into the room, and I stood up and like, how some of them were like open or whatever, and I just like walked across them, just like stomping on them. And like, I don't know if one got rumpled or something like that, but he was aghast, and he's like, "What are you doing? Stop that!" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" I'm just. I think part of the reason it hit me hard was I think I was getting up to say hi to him. Like he was either in from work or whatever, but he was coming in, and I think it was one of those childhood. You're trying to do something nice. You're trying to get up and hey Dad, give him a hug or whatever, welcome home. And so I was expecting he was going to be happy, and I kind of scuffled over these books to get to him, and rather than being happy to see me, he was mad. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing to these books?" And I didn't understand or have a context to why he had that reaction to me. Why is he getting mad? I don't know. It was totally out of my depth, but he as my dad did, he took the time to explain to me, and he said, "You need to know that books, just books, are a privilege. There are places in the world where people don't have books or can't have books, or people will come along and take the books and burn them, and all this." And I think I was aware of World War II and all that kind of stuff, but not yet at that point had I been aware of the fact that bad Nazis, that there was the idea that ideas and thoughts and things like that got suppressed, or that people tried to do that. There would be a reason to do that. I knew bad people robbed people and killed people and that kind of stuff, but never that ideas had weight and that they could be subverted or taken away through oppressive regimes or people or anything else. He had grown up in a very different era where all of those kind of things were coming to light, and it wasn't just an abstract, "Oh yeah, that could happen." It was a these things did happen, and growing up in England, he grew up on our country was almost overrun by the people. And, for anybody who's listening in France or anything, some countries were overrun at the time by power, and I've got nothing but love. This isn't an anti-German thing or anything like that. I have family that came from southern Germany and Switzerland, so I have a great love for that culture. But at the time, the Nazi regime certainly was instrumental in trying to resist or crush anything that resisted their worldview, and were very oppressive. So he'd grown up in that, and he shared that with me and made that a value that kind of in the American revolutionary sense of, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death the right of you to say it. That takes some guts at times, and he grew up in a world where that wasn't far into history. And nowadays, I think we've been so blessed to grow up in a world where, yeah, for me, there was some Cold War, and there's been the Gulf Wars, and I understand for people involved in those, or for people in regions where there has been conflict. This is a gross oversimplification, but for many of us, our world has not been shaped by conflict the way that the entire world was in the 40s, and that's certainly a good thing. We have to count that. I think everyone has seen an improvement in quality of life as a result. But there are things you need to look out for, and that was the respect that he put on. That's coal ore. Don't I just have deep slate? Yeah, and then here. Okay, that is deep slate coal. I think it goes here, at least for now. We'll reevaluate a lot of this kind of stuff. Deep slate iron, that can go in. These are all regular ores. So yeah, the value of books, and books as transmissions of ideas, and ideas as being a cornerstone to free society. Those were all things that I learned to appreciate from my dad, having a different frame of reference from what I had, and I really appreciate that, and it's something I like to tell others about when I do. We talk about our dads or whatever. That's something. He taught me American sports from a newcomer's eyes. He certainly had, he grew up in cricket and football, soccer, as opposed to American football. And while he definitely taught me soccer growing up and played it, he had actually, of any of the sports, his growing up sport was cricket. That was what he played, and of course we didn't have that here. Now I tried to play baseball. I was not a very good baseball player. I got to share just in recent episodes how much fun I had visiting family and getting to play softball with my niece, who was just picking up the sport, and because she's just given it a try and not very experienced, I could actually be a little bit helpful. I've played, since my childhood, I've played some beer league softball, rec league stuff, and all that. So I wasn't wholly inefficient in giving a total newcomer to the game some pointers, but anybody who has played more than that would have probably kind of laughed at my lack of skills trying to teach, kind of the blind leading the blind situation there. But it was fun. I can relate to that because I know my dad seemingly, had to do a bit of the same in order to teach me hockey and I don't know, I'm so busy trying to top those off. It's not like they're going to go away. In order to teach me soccer and football and baseball and all those, he had to learn those games too. And I could relate just a couple weeks ago when it was my dad and my niece and I out in the baseball field that me trying to dust off old skills and apply something that I really never played at a top level was much the same as how he had to approach a lot of my interests as a kid to be able to be there for me. And that was probably cool, but it was also a challenge. He couldn't just go, oh yeah, back when I played football I knew how to do this. He couldn't relate to some of those kinds of experiences, so he had to be adaptive and translate some of those kind of things from his own experience to mine to make them click for me. So again, just ways that we appreciate our dads, and that all our dads are unique. They don't all have the same things, and they didn't all impact us in the same ways that then click for us. It is pretty cool. And so to circle all this back, I don't know how far we are on the time, but I think we're going to break pretty quick. Yeah, we're at 51 minutes. And while that's not a full hour, we're not going to get through all of this stuff. Remember, we've got a fortune, not just our coal and our gems, but our iron and our copper as well now. So we've got a lot of processing to do before we get set up. So we'll be back to do all that. And I don't think at that point we're going to talk dads again. But please feel free to drop in the comments something that you appreciate about your dad. If that's a memory, depending on your age or how young or old you are, you may still have a dad. You may still live with your dad. You may be like, man, I don't appreciate my dad very much right now. I'm grounded because of him. There were days when I could relate to that, but over time that will all change. And the longer I live, the more I appreciate how much my dad has done for me. So, Dad, if you ever see this, happy Father's Day. We got to talk in person earlier, but you are awesome, and I can't wait to see you the next time in person. But hope you have a great day. And to all the other dads out there, happy Father's Day to you. As I said earlier, sometimes I'm sure you're like, man, is anything sinking in with your kids? But you guys may remember too, or you may forget in the light of being parents. There will be a point when it clicks, and your kids are like, wow. That was pretty meaningful. And again, it may not be the stuff that you thought at the time was critical, but there will be stuff, and maybe all the more reason to be on guard. The kids are always watching; they're always trying to learn from you. So, take care. Everybody have a great day. As always, make sure that you go ahead and take breaks. You don't need to sit in front of a computer all day long, and even if they're my videos, which is probably the closest thing you could possibly come to a valid reason, take breaks in between. Get up, look away from the screens, give your brain and your eyes a chance to reset and move around. Let the blood in your extremities circulate back up, get those legs moving a little bit, just even for a few minutes. It's good to get that heart rate going a little bit, and go stick your head outside. It's a little warm for me today, but not as hot as it was earlier in the week, and so far it's not storming, so good for us. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay awesome, people. Bye now. Oh my goodness, I'm like wrapping up, and I didn't even realize we haven't gotten out of the game yet. See, this is you get reminiscent about dads, and need to go. So here we go. One more classic slide. All right, now you guys get out of here. We'll see you back for the next one. I should have a few more coming up today, but this is the Father's Day Spectacular. From here on out, it's all business. We get back down to getting ready to build our tower. So you guys take care. See you now.